Survivor, Fear Factor, certainly no fictional adaptations like Squid Game or The Hunger Games. Steve doesn't feel like they ripped him off. He's just like, everybody's continuing their own story. And the idea of people who are in desperate situations having to compete for survival, that goes back to the caveman times.
It does, and so we have, the long walk questions why it has to be, that this story is still relevant today, and I think it's still a question worth answering and asking, and in order to help us do that, I think we're going to bring some folks up on the stage to help us do that.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to begin with the screenwriter of The Long Walk, and you know him from Outlaws and Angels and last year's Strange Darling. He is recently, as of yesterday, announced to do another King adaptation of The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. Welcome, J.T. Mulner.
And the next person up, you're going to be bringing up a producer who has had his finger in just about everything scary that you've loved in the last 20 years, including a lot of Stephen King stuff. We're talking It, Salem's Lot, Dr. Sleep, not Stephen King, but The Rain, Grudge, Barbarian, producer Roy Lee.
Now for our actors, he plays Stebbins, contestant number 38, Garrett Waring.
We also have Arthur Baker, number 6. Please welcome Tut Nguyen.
He is Peter McFreeze, number 23. You know him from Alien Romulus, David Johnson. Good one.
He's the big bad of this movie, the major who keeps them all marching. He's also Stephen King's online bestie. I do see him on social media, bantering with Mr. King all the time. He's also unforgettable in the recent The Life of Chuck as Albie Krantz. He's like a slightly different character this time out. He's an actor who's been coming to Comic Cons for over 50 years now. But the first time was with a space movie.
Some obscure space movie you can say.
Yeah, I don't remember the title, it escapes me, but ladies and gentlemen,
Think of it.
Mark Hamill. I think we want to start with JT and Roy because this is, I don't know if you guys have been as obsessed with following Stephen King stuff as much as we have been, but The Long Walk has had a very long road to the big screen. There have been people from George Romero, Frank Darabont, Andre Overdahl. There's a lot of people who tried to make it and couldn't quite do it. So I'd like to start with them and ask them, like, what was the secret sauce this time? What made this the version that finally crossed the finish line?
I'll let JT speak because it was the screenplay that got the movie greenlit. This was like the fastest movie that I've gotten, one of the fastest. From the time of starting development to wrapping the movie was under 2 years. And it was, a lot of it was because of the screenplay.
You're breaking Frank Darabont's heart.
Thank you, Roy. It happened because of a really special confluence of elements that came together. And Roy Lee's a magician. He knew I was looking for something to write coming off the film I directed. He also happened to know Francis Lawrence. And so he knew that I revered Stephen King and loved this novel. And when he asked me if I was interested in writing it, I had to meet Francis, who wanted to direct it. And when we met, we just got along so well, and the movie he wanted to make was the movie I wanted to write. And shortly after, we delivered the script, and we heard Stephen King liked it, and then we heard that Lionsgate liked it, and we got to go into production shortly after. So it was a magical experience.
Can you think of anything specifically from the Bachman book that you felt was necessary to preserve to tell this story? Everything that's adapted gets changed, but was there anything that he wrote from his words that you were like, I gotta catch that spirit, or I gotta use that line, something specific you wanted?
Well, what I do first is I go through the entire book and I read it a number of times, and I underline things that I want to keep, dialogue I'd like to keep, moments I'd like to keep. And the biggest challenge here was the fact that I just underlined so much. It's a really great book, and it's miraculous that you wrote it at that age. But we had to lose things. So in the end, it wasn't something specific, but I wanted to keep, and Francis wanted to do this too, we wanted to keep the DNA and the themes that Stephen King had baked into his original novel. And even though he was writing it about specific things at the time, I feel like the relevance is generational. And so I wanted to make sure we had that beauty and that love and the story of friendship and characters, and also brutality and hopelessness and terror.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that because I think fans of the book are wondering, all right, Hollywood gets its hands on this story, are they going to tone it down? What can you say to people who are worried about that?
No. Francis and I, once again, I'm a director too, and sometimes the idea of writing for somebody else can be nightmarish. In this case, it was a dream, because when Roy introduced me to Francis, he told me he wanted to go all the way, and I knew that Stephen King wanted us to go all the way, and I knew Lionsgate wanted us to go all the way. So it was one of those things that I knew we could be honest and faithful, and if this book got into the wrong hands, the wrong studio, the wrong filmmakers, it could have been neutered, and I'm very, very grateful we were able to keep the teeth that the book has. This film definitely has teeth.
We heard Uncle Steve in his videos say the movie has hard bark. Does it also have hard bark in addition to teeth? It has hard bark. What does hard bark mean?
Is it hard bark teeth?
Yeah, it's hard bark, and definitely it definitely has bite, and it needs to. It would be unfair, and I think it just wouldn't work on so many levels if we didn't go all the way. And it's a unrelenting, brave film, I think, with brave performances and heavy, exciting, terrifying themes.
Well, I think for some folks in the audience, they might only really know the trailer so far, so I'd like to introduce them to your characters. So let's start with Garrett, and can you tell us a little bit about Stebbins? What is Stebbins? How does he stand out amongst this group of young men?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I just want to say, how cool is this, y'all? I mean, you sacrificed your time, your effort, your money, you got time off work, you flew across the country to be here. I am so happy to be in this room with you guys. To me, and I'm so thankful. I am immensely proud to be sitting amongst four incredible actors, producers, and writers. This movie is awesome, and I can affirmatively say that. Our script was amazing. Francis Lawrence, who directed The Hunger Games, absolutely amazing. And Stebbins is, in the book, a very complicated character, and that does translate to the screen. JT did a great job at kind of making Stebbins pop in the way of thinking, why is this guy so mysterious? He's hiding something, and fans of the book will know why. But, yeah, there we go. So, throughout the film, we're wondering, why is this guy keeping so much to himself, right? Why does he know so much about the long walk? And we follow this mystery throughout the course of the film, and I think that makes it a very enticing character to play. And unfortunately, some way along the walk, I come under with an illness, and it's fun to watch that unfold as well.
Yeah,
He's really good. He's really good in the movie.
I want to reveal a little something that happened just backstage before we came out here. So we all come downstairs in an elevator, all the actors, JT and Roy, and then they see all of the soldiers in the glasses, looking intense, and you guys were all kind of freaked out. You're like, why is this getting under my skin, right? it was a freaky movie to make, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, whenever we would have a death on set in the book and in the movie, they would do this air horn, and every time I've heard an air horn since then, it was like this response that I've had. But there was a time in my life, we had this major character up here doing this monologue, right? There was a time in my life where I could repeat that monologue to you verbatim because of how many times sweet Mark Hamill said it to us on set. There's so many different setups. We shot that scene for about a week, that intro scene, and I'm sure we all could memorize that by the end of it.
Well, we hope Lionsgate's paying for some therapy.
Yes. Yeah. Exposure therapy.
And the massage for my feet.
So tell us about Arthur and how Arthur has a fan, Anton has a fan. Tell us about Arthur and what distinguishes him among this group of young men.
Yeah, hello everyone. What Garrett said, we're very grateful and everything. Thank you. And it's such an honor. It's my first time in America, which is Art Baker is, grew up poor in Baton Rouge. He's a religious fella. He mentions that a lot through the movie. I think he's a very grounded person, and he's a lovable character. I think he holds everyone together, and the journey he goes on. I think it's really beautiful, and it touches who we are as people. The fear, our beliefs. What we believe about others, because I know that's heavy in the movie. But yeah, he's just a lovable character, and I remember reading the script and just thinking, wow, this is real, and the character of Art Baker is just perfect in my eyes. Yeah, so thank you, yeah.
I'm going to say one thing about this boy. You may not know his name yet, but my God, will you? And he is brilliant in this movie, and I'm so proud of you, man.
Yeah.
So good to be here with you. And if you thought Jacob was good in Alien Romulus, wait till you see him in this.
That's the thing about the story, though, right? You'd think that this would be a competition where they're out, to sacrifice the others because everybody who's on this block is in the way of the ultimate prize, but that's not what the story is. It's a story of support and love, and you can't help but love these guys when you're watching the movie or reading the book. And so you actually feel it when they start not making it. And I think that's kind of underlined really in the relationship that David, you have with Cooper Hoffman's Gary, that Peter McCree's has with Gary. It feels like the heart of the movie. Is that how you felt it when you read the script?
Yeah, hello. This is, hey, hello. This is my second all age, and honestly, I'm going to do the same thing that us wonderful boys have been doing. This is awesome. This is so nice. Thank you guys for coming to the movies and supporting movies. I feel honoured to be a part of it. This is awesome. Thank you. In answer to your question, I do think it's the heart of the movie in many ways. But I also think this movie has so many other beating hearts, like the relationship between all of us boys, and a lot of a relationship between the government, you know what I mean, and establishment. I think Stephen King is just an auteur in writing things that end up becoming timeless, and things that we need to just have in the back of our head. But yeah, Cooper, who plays Raymond Garrett, is just amazing, and we developed a very, very tight bond that I think made itself quite well to the movie. So.
That brings us to Mark Hamill and the Major.
We love you, Mark! Oh, tell George he said hi. You said hi.
Ooh.
George, on Sunday.
Oh, good. How about that?
Mark, tell us about the Major. You grew up in a military family. That's what Francis Lawrence told me that when he spoke to you about the part. You said, "I know this guy." So who is he?
Well, I did my last 2 years in high school at Yokohama High in Japan, and even though my dad was a Navy, we were on the Marine base, and I'd walk across the parking lot, seeing the officers putting these guys through their paces in blazing hot sun. They were just brutal, barking orders, and I mean, I'm telling you, things that you never want to you're sorry that you remember. Like if you vomited, they forced you to eat it. Yeah, I saw that. I hid my eyes. It was horrible. But when Francis talked to me, I said, I know who this guy is because I've seen it firsthand. And the premise itself is so off-putting. It's like, I don't know if I can even see this movie, much less be in it. But what happens is I can't remember in which order, but I read JT's script, I read the novel. And the premise is just a device to get you to the real heart and soul of the movie, which is the experience of the walkers in these extraordinary circumstances. I was just blown away by the performances. So good. I mean, you're going to see a lot from these guys over the years. I saw you in Alien, but everybody else, except for, I guess, Roman Griffin Davies, I'd seen him in Jojo Rabbit and Cooper in Licorice Pizza. But for the most part, totally unknown, but just amazing performances. I have to tell you, they're and to be in two different Stephen King projects the same year shows you what a versatile writer is, because you couldn't get further away from The Long Walk than The Life of Chuck. It's hard to believe the same man wrote both these stories, neither of which have any supernatural elements at all. So sometimes he's unfairly categorized as a horror writer when, as you pointed out, he's done Green Mile and Shawshank Redemption and The Body, which became Stand By Me. He's just fantastic. And I have to tell you, when we went to the Toronto International Film Festival, he said, "You're going to be sitting next to Stephen King." And outwardly, I was like, "How do you do?" Inwardly, I was like, "Oh my God, Stephen King!" But I didn't do that. I restrained myself. I didn't fanboy all over the place. But I wanted to ask him so many questions, and I thought, well, this isn't the right time. Well, the first thing that amazed me is when I came up, before I even said, "How do you do?" he said, "The Major." How did he know?
He has his ways.
Yes, well, I asked the Lionsgate people, they said, "Oh, believe me, he has approval over everything, the script, the director, the cast, everything." I was really flattered that he even knew that what I was doing. But, it's like I say, the heart and soul of the movie are their experiences in these unimaginable circumstances. And I wasn't around for a lot of that, because I have a lot of exposition to explain the whole thing, and then you follow these guys. I had originally thought, well, I'm going to have the whole cast over at the hotel on Saturday or Sunday. We'll have a get-together brunch. And Francis Lawrence, the director, says, "Cooper Hoffman doesn't want to meet you." I said, "Really? Why?" He said, "He's afraid he might like you." I said, "Oh, I get it. I understand. I get the process. I respect the process completely." So I canceled the lunch, and I said, "And by the way, tell Cooper, I guarantee when he meets me, he will like me."
It's true.
It strikes me the novel was published in 1979, and you would have been age appropriate to be one of the walkers if you had made a movie then. Do you have a character that you would have wanted to play if they made a movie?
Well, they're all great in different ways. That's what's so good about his writing, is he makes them so distinctive. I mean, the bringing in the mother of one of the characters that humanized them in a way that you hadn't seen before. No, I don't think so. I would be happy to play any of those characters, but
Yeah. Well, listen, I thought it was my idea. I reread the book. I said, oh no, it's in the book. Because I said to Francis, what if I never take my glasses off? Because I want to dehumanize him, make him as much of a cipher or an automaton as I can. When I was prepared to do a really severe military cut and everything, but when I put on the cap, I thought, well, that pretty much does it. I don't really have to do anything with hair. When I put on the glasses, it makes him more and more, unrelatable as a human being. And I thought that was my idea, and I was rereading the book. I think it's in the book that he never takes his glasses off. I'm not sure.
Well, you have a lot of experience playing opposite a character who has sort of covered eyes and a mask.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Geiger. We're talking about the Geiger.
I never saw it. And it's not because I didn't want to see it. Usually what happens is if they have a premiere or something, I'll always go. But if they just released it, sometimes they don't even tell you. So, and it's always expectations. I've always said one of the reasons I think it worked out for me to play the Joker was right around that time they announced that Michael Keaton was going to play Batman. And all the fans freaked out. Oh, he's Mr. Mom, he's the leading actor, before they'd even seen it. Now, within weeks of that, they asked me to come in and audition for the Joker, and I thought, normally you have performance anxiety. If you really want something, and I tell actors this, even if you don't feel that way, act aloof. Act like you don't care, because there's a certain neediness that can bleed through and make people uncomfortable. But with the Joker, I thought, if they freaked out about Mr. Mom being Batman, how are they going to freak out about Luke Skywalker being the Joker? It's just not going to happen. And because of that, I knew I couldn't get it. I had no performance anxiety whatsoever. I just went in and thinking, I'm going to make them really sorry they can't hire me. And I just let it rip, and I'm driving out of the parking lot real cocky, like, try and find a better Joker than that. And then, of course, they said, you're hired. I went, oh no, I can't do this. I told you I wanted to play a villain that never been done before, Two-Face or Clayface or, any other character that had not been done before, because I thought, my friend, leave it to another actor to say this. Boy, that's pretty brave. I said, playing the Joker. I said, why? Well, I wouldn't want to follow Jack Nicholson in anything. Oh, no. That was the only direction, by the way. On the copy, it says, don't think Nicholson. And, I wouldn't do that anyway. But like I say, that really turned my career around in voiceover. I've been getting these parts recently, like in House of Usher. That would have been a routine character for me in voiceover. But to play an amoral, sociopathic lawyer, just pure evil, never on camera. So I really have to thank Mike Flanagan, because he thought outside the box. Yeah, he is amazing, this man. So talented, not only as a director, but as a writer. And then Life of Chuck, you couldn't find two more dissimilar characters in Alice Major, so I'm grateful. I thought at this stage of my career I'd be spending more time with a metal detector, wandering around the beach, playing with the dogs in the backyard. And I said to my agent, I said, you know what, I'm not motivated anymore. This is about, 10 years ago, 2019. I said, I think I'm gonna just sort of retire and just do voiceover. And the only people that objected were my agent and my wife. Because, it's good to have me out of the house. But what a turnaround. Again, I have to say thank you to Mike Flanagan and Trevor Macy. Because that sort of kicked off this, I didn't expect to be this busy, Wild Robot, The King of Kings, Long Walk, Life of Chuck, and this Christmas, I'm the arch nemesis of SpongeBob in the SpongeBob movie. Yes! I love how it sounds important and it's so not. the SpongeBob movie, Search for SquarePants. And it's the usual inspired silliness, but great fun. And if I do my job correctly, every child in America will hate my guts.
Let's hear it from Mark Hamill's Bill and Aaron. There are two people who wish they could be here that are making a movie overseas and they can't be here. One of the actors who plays one of the boys walking in this, Ben Wang, and director and producer Francis Lawrence. Let's watch a video message from them.